All right, in this video, I got a great game for you to play in your math class, whether you're teaching 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, algebra. It doesn't matter what course you're teaching. As long as kids have been introduced to variables, they're ready to play this game. Basically, all you're creating is a game board. Just like any other game board, the object is to make our way from space to space and try and get around the game board as many times as possible. When I play this game, I tell my students they got to go around 2 times to win. So that's 1 rotation, 2 rotations. You can talk to them about how many total degrees would you have to rotate around. 360 degrees is a full rotation, so you need 720 degrees. Throw some math into your instruction, okay? But basically all the kids are gonna do is they're gonna have negative numbers right here, zeros right there, and positive numbers right here. So I give them cards to go and cut out, so I'll just make them something like this. They just cut out their numbers, place the negatives in that pile, place the zeros in this pile, place the positives in this pile, and I also will print them out a copy of the board, okay? So once you create a board, you don't have to go with the expressions that I created up here. If you see this is 2 times A minus 3, but this is a great way for kids to process what results are gonna be before actually working them out, okay? Because I tell my students, no paper, no pencil, okay, unless you need to prove yourself to your person you're playing against. Okay, so when they have to make a decision of what they're gonna pick, a negative number, a 0, or a positive number, they have to make that decision by looking at the expression and being smart about the number they're gonna plug in. For example, I'm looking at that space right there. A lot of times kids on their first round of playing this, they'll take the expression negative x plus 1 and they'll wanna put a positive number in. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? If I take negative x plus 1 and I put a positive number in for x, let's take a peek at what happens there. So I'm just gonna write that down. Negative x plus 1. When they go to plug that information into the expression, parentheses go where x is, the opposite or the negative would come off to the side, plus 1. Now, again, kids are not gonna be aware. Some of them will, some of them won't, but some of them are gonna say, oh, put a positive in, we're adding 1. Okay, when they put that positive number in, let's say they pull a positive 4, now they have negative 4 plus 1. That kid's gonna end up with a result that is negative, meaning he or she is gonna have to go back 1, 2, 3 spaces in that case. Okay, so it's good for students to kind of have an idea of what's gonna happen once they substitute the value in for the variable. Okay, they have no idea what negative number they're gonna be pulling. 0, you know you're gonna get a 0, and there's some spaces up here where 0 is a good play. And then positive numbers, there's definitely spaces that are gonna be beneficial to use a positive versus a negative, and that's the main goal of this game, is to 1, get kids to calculate in their head, do some mental math. 2 times a number minus 3. I want them doing that without a calculator, okay? Because as they get into algebra, they're gonna have to start doing mental calculations when they're working through their steps solving equations. Okay, so it's good for that. It's also good for students that don't really understand what a variable is quite yet. So I would usually pair those kids up with somebody that has a strong understanding so they can help them along. And there's gonna be some arguments with kids. Oh, I got this for that one that he's saying it's supposed to be 3. Let them argue it out and then tell them if they just can't come to a conclusion about what the correct solution is, just throw a hand up and call the teacher over and go help them out, explain to it. They probably obviously need some reteaching in order for that to move forward in the game. Okay, so again, feel free to use the spaces I've created or make up your own expressions that go in here. You can play this game a number of ways. You can change these from expressions to equations. If you change them to equations, you just no longer have your cards. They have to solve the equation. The solution tells them to go forward or backwards. There's a lot of ways that you can change this game up to fit your needs in your classroom. But this is just a fun game. I tell them, grab something out of your backpack, an eraser, or anything that you can use as a game piece. You don't need to provide the students with game pieces. Let them have fun with it. I always just fold up a paper clip and turn it into what I say looks like a goose. And then I'll throw it down and be like, look at that beautiful goose that I just created from a paper clip, right? So just have fun with it, enjoy it, play it with your students. This is a great game prior to solving equations is what I would recommend, because we want our students to go and check their solutions. One of the biggest struggles with checking their solutions is their mental math skills aren't quite there. They can't go and say, oh, I got A equals 4, and then put a 4 in for A and say 2 times 4 is 8, minus 3 gives me 5. Okay, they struggle with that. Okay, so this is a game that's going to help them get the hang of those skills that we want them to have. Hopefully this makes sense. Study hard and good luck on your upcoming test.